Did you know? And there's a goddess so powerful, her rage once almost wiped out humanity. Meet Sekhmet, the lioness-headed goddess of war, healing, and fiery destruction from ancient Egypt. She is basically the ancient Egyptian equivalent of the Hulk, if the Hulk also happened to moonlight as a doctor. But who is Sekhmet? Well, Sekhmet, whose name literally means the powerful one, is one of the most intriguing and contradictory figures in Egyptian mythology. She is depicted as a lioness, or a woman with the head of a lioness, because, apparently, regular faces were too mainstream for someone of her stature. But don't be fooled, Sekhmet isn't your average deity. She embodies duality, both the bringer of destruction and a master healer. It's like if your fiercest enemy also handed you your first aid kit after smacking you across the battlefield. Origins? Well, she was created by the sun god Ra, or Re, as the Eye of Ra, to enforce his will and bring divine retribution. And trust me, she did take her job seriously. Let us talk about some myths. First, the creation and the bear incident. One of the most famous Sekhmet stories is about how Ra unleashed her fury on humanity, displeased with their behavior. Typical humans, right? Ra sent Sekhmet to, well, teach them a lesson. Sekhmet's version of teaching involved a full-scale slaughter where rivers of blood replaced the Nile. But then things got little out of hand. You see, Sekhmet became consumed by a bloodlust, and humanity was on the brink of extinction. Ra, realizing this wasn't the corrective action he had in mind, had to think fast. His solution? Beer, dyed red but looked like blood. Yeah, the fate of humanity rested on a goddess getting absolutely wasted. Sekhmet guzzled the beer, passed out, and woke up the next day like, what happened last night? Now on to the second myth, the distant goddess. In another story, Sekhmet gets fed up with Egypt and storms off to Nubia. Chaos reigns in her absence, proving that, destructive as she is, you kinda need her around. The god Chehuti, also known as Tut, playing the role of mythological mediator, eventually convinces her to return, restoring balance. Fun fact, this myth is why some say Sekhmet is both feared and worshipped. She's your terrifying boss, who also makes sure the office doesn't burn down. Now, let's talk about her iconic looks, her symbols of power. You don't become one of ancient Egypt's most formidable goddesses without a killer aesthetic. So, Sekhmet's look includes a lioness head, because nothing screams, "Don't mess with me," like the most feared predator in Africa. Then, a solar disk, a shout-out to her father, Ra, and her fiery, sun-powered energy. And red everything, her favorite color, symbolizing blood, fire, and fury. Because, obviously. Now, there's also a paradox of Sekhmet. You see, what makes Sekhmet truly fascinating is her duality. She's not just a goddess of war, but also of healing and medicine. The priests were known as skilled healers, proving that the best cure for a fever is having the literal goddess of plagues on speed dial. It's this complexity, the story natura, that makes Sekhmet so compelling. You might fear her, but you also respect her. Kind of like your mother when she's angry. Now, on to worshipping. Sekhmet wasn't just feared, she was worshipped on a grand scale. Her cult was most prominent in Memphis, the capital of ancient Egypt during much of its history, and Leontopolis, which literally translates to City of Lions, because subtlety was clearly not an ancient Egyptian strong suit. Now, there are annual festivals of intoxication. If you thought the modern parties were wild, wait until you hear about Sekhmet's festival of drunkenness. Every year, Egyptians celebrated her with music, dance, and you guessed it, copious amounts of beer dyed red. Why? Well, to reenact the myth of her pacification and ensure she remained calm and benevolent. Archaeologists even uncovered evidence of these massive celebrations at the Temple of Mut in Thebes, where the lines between sacred rituals and ancient rave parties were seriously blurred. Drunken priestesses being attended to? Sounds like the hangovers were almost as legendary as the goddess herself. And now to the mystery of Sekhmet statues. One of the most puzzling aspects of Sekhmet's worship is the sheer number of her statues. During the reign of Amenhotep III, over 700 statues of Sekhmet were created, an unprecedented number for any deity. These statues, often larger than life and made of black granite, depict her seated or standing, holding an ankh or papyrus scepter. But why so many? Well, you see, scholars believe they were created to appease Sekhmet and keep her destructive powers in check. Think of them as ancient insurance policies, because when the goddess of plagues is involved, you can never be too careful. Interestingly, many of these statues were later defaced or mutilated, possibly during changes in religious practices. Yet, their power persists. Even today, modern pagans and spiritualists feel a connection to these ancient relics. Now let's talk about offerings. Sekhmet was a demanding deity, and her worshippers didn't skim on offerings. The most common gifts were, well, red beer, a callback to her infamous drunken episode, meat, because what Lioness doesn't love a good feast, and incense to appease her fiery temper. Modern devotees of Sekhmet often use red candles, lion-themed items, and crystals like carnelian and tiger's eye in their offerings. It's a fascinating blend of ancient tradition and modern spirituality. Now, let us talk about her healing powers. And here's where Sekhmet's duality shines. Despite being the goddess of war and plagues, she was also revered as a healer. Her temples often doubled as healing sanctuaries, where priests performed rituals to cure diseases. These priests, known as Worship of Sekhmet, were considered highly skilled doctors, kind of like ancient Egypt's version of Mayo Clinic, but with more lion statues. This healing aspect made Sekhmet an indispensable part of Egyptian life. When plague and illness struck, invoking her protection was a top priority. Just don't anger her, or you might find yourself on the receiving end of those very same plagues. Now, short to Symbolism of Sekhmet. First, we have the Lioness, representing her ferocity and maternal protectiveness. In ancient Egypt, the Lioness wasn't just a predator, she was a symbol of divine strength. Then, the solar disk, a reminder of your fiery connection to Ra. And red, the signature color, symbolizing both blood and the desert sun. These symbols weren't just decorative, they were deeply meaningful, representing the goddess's role in maintaining Ma'at, the universal balance of order and justice, a huge deal in all of ancient Egypt. Now, Sekhmet's story begins with her father Ra, the sun god. In Egyptian mythology, Sekhmet is described as the Eye of Ra, his vengeful extension. Think of her as Ra's problem solver. Except her version of solving problems involves claws, fire, and a fair bit of destruction. One myth tells of Ra growing weary of humanity's disobedience, and instead of sending a sternly worded memo, he created Sekhmet from his fiery eye to restore order. And by restore order, he meant wiping out most of humanity. Now, Sekhmet and Hathor, two sides of the same goddess? Well, if you thought Sekhmet was intense, a connection to Hathor adds a new layer of intrigue. Hathor, often depicted as the goddess of love, joy, and music, is considered Sekhmet's gentler counterpart. In some myths, Sekhmet and Hathor are portrayed as two aspects of the same deity. Imagine flipping a coin. One side is a ferocious lioness, the other a nurturing mother figure. Together, they symbolize the duality of the divine feminine, creation and destruction, pleasure and power. Now, there's also a consort, Ptah, the creator god. Sekhmet's consort, Ptah, is the god of creation and craftsmanship. While Sekhmet embodied fiery destruction, Ptah represented calm creativity. A divine power couple, if ever there was one. Together, they formed a balance between chaos and order, echoing the Egyptian concept of Ma'at. Their union produced a son, Nefertem, the god of healing, beauty, and perfume. Nefertem's association with healing ties neatly back to Sekhmet's dual role as a destroyer and a healer. Now, of course, there's also sibling rivalry. Sekhmet and the cat goddess Bastet. Now, things get interesting. Sekhmet is often compared to, or confused with, Bastet, another feline goddess. But where Sekhmet is all about rage and fiery destruction, Bastet represents domestic cats, gentler, protective nature. She's the cat curled up on your lap, while Sekhmet is the lion hunting in the savannah. In some myths, Sekhmet and Bastet are seen as sisters, each embodying different aspects of the Lioness archetype. Together, they reflect the dual nature of life, calm protection versus fierce retribution. Now, there's also Maahes, the lion-headed sun. In later myths, Sekhmet is also credited with being the mother of Maahes, a lion-headed war god who protected the pharaohs and symbolized royal power. With both parents embodying strength and vengeance, it's no wonder Maahes became the ultimate guardian deity. It's a classic case of divine genetics. Now, there's of course the afterlife. Sekhmet's role didn't end with the living. In funerary texts, she is linked to Wazir, also known as Osiris, the god of the afterlife. She's one of 4 feline goddesses who guard Vizir's body, ensuring the cosmic balance of life and death remains intact. It's like being on the ultimate divine security detail. Fierce nature also extended to defending the solar bouquet of Ra during its nightly journey through the underworld, battling the chaos servant Apophis. Sekhmet wasn't just a goddess of earthly battles. She fought on the cosmic stage as well, Now, there's also a bit of contradiction. Sekhmet's family connections highlight her complex nature, whether as the Eye of Ra, the fierce consort of Ptah, or the nurturing mother of Nefertem. She embodies balance in every sense. She is destruction and healing, rage and protection, all tied together in one magnificent lioness. So, by the time the New Kingdom transitioned into later eras, Sekhmet's role began to fade. Her attributes were absorbed into other goddesses like Mut, the mother goddess, and Hathor, the goddess of love and joy. Sekhmet, the fiery lioness, became less of a distinct figure and more of a facet of divine feminine. Why? Well, as Egyptian religious practices evolved, the need for a terrifying, destructive goddess may have diminished. People probably decided they had enough plagues and fiery retribution, thank you very much. But even as her cult waned, her statues remained. The sheer number of Sekhmet statues across Egypt suggests her presence was too significant to erase entirely. It's as if she silently endured, waiting to be rediscovered. Now, in the modern world, Sekhmet is often overshadowed by more popular Egyptian deities like Usat, also known as Isis, or Her. But, esoterically, she remains a powerful figure. Some scholars and spiritual practitioners compare her to Kali from the Hindu mythology. Both embody chaos, destruction, and regeneration. Sekhmet is often described as a goddess of transformation. Her dual nature mirrors the cycles of life. Destruction leading to rebirth, illness giving way to healing. She is not just about war and plagues. She is about the power to overcome. In recent decades, Sekhmet has found a new audience among modern pagans, spiritualists, and New Age practitioners. Her fierce yet healing energy resonates with those seeking empowerment and balance in chaotic times. Modern offerings to Sekhmet include, well, red candles and incense, symbolizing her fiery nature, lion statues or carvings representing her strength and protection, and carnelian and tiger's eye crystals, thought to channel her energy. For many, Sekhmet represents the courage to face life's challenges head-on, whether that's battling your inner demons or just surviving another Monday morning. You see, Sekhmet's legacy also extends into comparative mythology. Scholars have noted striking parallels between Sekhmet and the goddesses from other cultures. My beloved Athéna, both are warrior deities with a protective streak. Already mentioned Kali in the Hindu mythology, both share themes of destruction, bloodlust, and transformation. And also another deity we already talked about, Inanna or Ishtar. As goddesses of war and fertility, they embody dualities similar to Sekhmet. Even pop culture occasionally nods to Sekhmet, whether it's through characters inspired by her fiery personality, or references in films and books about ancient Egypt. But let's return to those 700 statues commissioned by Amenhotep III. While many have been damaged or fragmented, the sheer number remains baffling. Why so many? Was it fear, devotion, or perhaps a combination of both? Some researchers suggest the statues were part of a massive effort to pacify Sekhmet during Amenhotep III's reign, a period marked by political upheaval and natural disasters. It's almost as if the pharaoh wanted to keep her wrath at bay. A divine insurance policy, if you will. For those who feel drawn to Sekhmet today, she represents a powerful archetype. She's the protector who won't hesitate to destroy what no longer serves. She's the healer who understands that sometimes you have to tear down to rebuild. Symbolism goes beyond her lioness head and fiery myths. Sekhmet is a reminder of the balance between chaos and order, destruction and creation. In her, we see the eternal dance of opposites, a reflection of life itself. So, what if I told you that Sekhmet, a fiery lioness goddess of Egypt, isn't as unique as she seems? Across the world's mythologies, echoes of her fierce energy ripple through stories of goddesses who share her thirst for battle, her healing touch, and her divine duality. Let's meet the powerful pantheon of Sekhmet's spiritual sisters. From Greece's tactical genius, Athéna, to India's fearsome Kali. Because, as it turns out, Sekhmet may have more in common with these divine figures than we ever imagined. Beginning with my beloved goddess, Athéna. Known for her wisdom and warfare strategy, Athéna and Sekhmet both embody the warrior archetype, but with distinct styles. Athéna, or Athéna, is the chess master of war, strategic, composed, and fiercely intelligent. Sekhmet, on the other hand, is the lioness in the heat of battle, ferocious, unrelenting, and visceral. But their similarities are striking. First, dual roles. Athéna is not just a war goddess, she's also a patron of crafts and wisdom, much like Sekhmet's connection to healing and protection. Then, symbols of power. Athéna wields her famous Aegis shield, often decorated with the Gorgon's head, a symbol of divine protection. Similarly, Sekhmet is associated with the Ureos, the rearing cobra, and the solar disk, both potent symbols of authority and defense. And we have justice and order. Both goddesses are enforcers of cosmic and societal order. Athéna for her role as a protector of cities, and Sekhmet as a defender of Ma'at, the Egyptian principle of truth and balance. Athéna and Sekhmet represent two sides of the warrior goddess. The mind versus the heart, strategy versus raw power. Together, they show us that there's more than one way to fight a battle. If Athéna is Sekhmet's cerebral counterpart, Kali is her untamed twin. Hailing from Hindu mythology, Kali is the goddess of time, destruction, and transformation. Like Sekhmet, she dances on the edge of chaos, embodying both creation and annihilation. So, key parallels include bloodlust and rage. Kali, like Sekhmet, is infamous for her uncontrollable bloodlust. In one myth, she becomes so consumed by the battle that the world itself is at risk, just as Sekhmet nearly destroyed humanity in her rampage. And then, a heroic calm. Both goddesses had to be pacified. Sekhmet was tricked into drinking red beer, while Kali was calmed by Shiva, who threw himself at her feet. And symbolism of transformation. Kali's dance of destruction clears the way for new creation. Much like Sekhmet's destructive acts, maintain balance and order. Kali and Sekhmet both remind us that destruction isn't inherently evil. It's a necessary force of transformation and renewal. Now we have Inanna, or Ishtar, from Mesopotamian, Babylonian, Akkadian, and Assyrian mythology. A goddess of war, love and fertility. Like Sekhmet, Inanna, or Ishtar, straddles the line between destruction and creation, embodying the contradictions of the divine feminine. So, their shared traits include warrior spirit, Inanna or Ishtar, like Sekhmet, was afraid to march into battle. One of her titles, Lady of Battle, could easily apply to the Egyptian lioness. Then, the dual nature, Inanna or Ishtar, ruled both the battlefield and the bedroom, showcasing her dual roles as a bringer of life and death. Sekhmet's duality, destruction and healing, feels like a kindred spirit. And we have divine power. Both goddesses were associated with celestial phenomena, Inanna or Ishtar, with the morning and evening star Venus, yes, the same as Aphrodite, and Sekhmet with the sun. Their connection to the cosmos reinforces their immense, almost incomprehensible power. So, Inanna or Ishtar's story of descending into the underworld, where she sheds her earthly attachments to achieve transformation, mirrors Sekhmet's role in enforcing balance. Both are relentless in their pursuit of cosmic harmony. Now, in Norse mythology, Freyja, the goddess of love and war, presents a fascinating parallel to Sekhmet. Like the Lioness goddess, Freyja's dual nature bridges passion and ferocity. So, here are key connections. Battlefield presence. Freyja, like Sekhmet, has a strong association with war. She receives half of the slain warriors in battle, emphasizing her role as a chooser of fate and destiny. We are talking about Volkvangre. Now, symbols of passion. Freyja's connection to fertility and love mirrors Sekhmet's nurturing healing side. Both goddesses wield immense power over life and death, reinforcing their roles as agents of transformation. Freyja and Sekhmet demonstrate that love and war, though opposites, are deeply interconnected. Now, here comes Hecate, the Greek goddess of magic, Crossroads, and the underworld. We already talked a bit about her in others' journeys. While Hecate's domain is darker and more mystical, she shares key elements with Sekhmet. Those include liminal spaces. Hecate guards the thresholds of life and death, much like Sekhmet's role as defender of Ma'at and the guardian of Vizier in the afterlife. Divine justice. Both goddesses are enforcers of order. Sekhmet punishes those who defy cosmic balance, while Hecate ensures the natural cycles of life and death remain undisturbed. And symbolic duality. Hecate's triple form, youth, mother, and crone, parallels Sekhmet's own dual aspect of creation and destruction. Hecate and Sekhmet stand as protectors of the liminal, guiding humanity through transitions with power and precision. And now to something more surprising. Lilith. From Judaic mythology, Lilith emerges as a figure of rebellion, independence, and untamed feminine power, often misunderstood as a demonic entity. Modern interpretations cast her as a symbol of autonomy. By the way, I also made a journey about her a while ago. But now to the connections to Sekhmet. First, destruction and deviance. Lilith's refusal to submit to Adam mirrors Sekhmet's untamed nature. Both challenge societal or divine norms, asserting their power. Then, symbol of fear and respect. Lilith and Sekhmet evoke awe and terror, representing the duality of feminine strength. Lilith was invoked to ward off harmful spirits, while Sekhmet protected against plagues and chaos. And duality in feminine power. Lilith's nurturing potential is overshadowed by her destructive image, much like Sekhmet's dual role as a healer and destroyer. You see, both figures embody the untamed power of the feminine, breaking conventions and commanding respect. Now returning to the Greek mythology, we have the Greek god Apollo, known for his association with healing, the sun, and plagues. He shares intriguing similarities with Sekhmet, and those include, obviously, plague and healing. Like Sekhmet, Apollo embodies duality, causing illness as a form of divine punishment, while also serving as a healer. Another obvious one, solar affinity. As a solar deity, Apollo's fiery nature aligns with Sekhmet's connection to Ra, the Egyptian sun god, and divine protector. Both deities protect their followers, Sekhmet on the battlefield and Apollo through prophecy and precision. You see, Apollo and Sekhmet illustrate the dual-edged nature of divine power, capable of both nurturing and scorching. Staying in the Greek realm, we have Asclepios. As the Greek god of medicine and healing, Asclepios embodies the gentler side of Sekhmet's power. Obviously, we have healing and medicine. Like Sekhmet, Asclepios presides over the health and well-being of humanity. Both deities were revered in temples that served as healing sanctuaries. And then we have life and death. Asclepios' ability to resurrect mirrors Sekhmet's position on the threshold between destruction and restoration. And we have symbolism. Asclepios' rod, a staff with a serpent, parallels Sekhmet's Uraeus cobra, both representing renewal and divine wisdom. Again, both figures represent ancient humanity's reverence for the delicate balance between sickness and health. Now, let's go to Hawaii. The Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes, Pele, offers a volcanic counterpart to Sekhmet. First, we have fire and destruction. Pele's eruptions, like Sekhmet's fiery wrath, bring destruction but also create new land, symbolizing renewal. Then, volatility. Both goddesses are known for their unpredictable tempers, embodying the raw, transformative force of nature. And, obviously, creative destruction. Pele's role as both a destroyer and creator mirrors Sekhmet's dual function of maintaining balance through chaos. Pele and Sekhmet remind us that fire can devastate and transform simultaneously. Now, we're going to the Celtic mythology, our already familiar goddess, Brigid. Brigid shares Sekhmet's association with healing and transformative fire. So, healing powers, like Sekhmet, Brigid is a protector of health, with sacred wells and rituals dedicated to physical and spiritual renewal. Then again, fire and creativity. Brigid's fire symbolizes inspiration and life, echoing Sekhmet's life-sustaining solar energy. And lastly, mediator of balance. Brigid's role as a mediator between creation and destruction aligns with Sekhmet's enforcement of Ma'at, the Egyptian concept of cosmic order. You see, Brigid and Sekhmet both emphasize the importance of balance in life cycles. Now, the Japanese goddess Amaterasu offers a solar parallel to Sekhmet. Solar serenity. Both deities channel the sun's power, embodying its life-giving and destructive aspects, and also restorer of order. Amaterasu's return from a cave parallels Sekhmet's role in restoring cosmic balance after her destructive rampages. Quickly going back to the Greek mythology, we have the Greek goddess Nemesis, who mirrors Sekhmet's role as an enforcer of justice. So, retribution? Both deliver divine justice to restore balance, ensuring that wrongdoers face consequences. And symbols of fear and order. Like Sekhmet, Nemesis inspires reverence and fear, maintaining order through her decisive actions. Now to the Hindu goddess Durga. She shares Sekhmet's fierce maternal energy and protective qualities. So we have the battle against chaos. Durga's victory over the demon Mahishasura echoes Sekhmet's cosmic battles, such as defending Ra, solar bug, from Apophis, and maternal ferocity. Both goddesses embody the paradox of nurturing life, while also fiercely protecting it. Now quick to the Greek mythology again. The Greek sun god, well actually Titan, Helios, reflects Sekhmet's solar attributes. Simply, sun's dual role. Helios, like Sekhmet, governs the cycles of light and heat, embodying the sun's dual nature of life and destruction. You see, Sekhmet's essence transcends cultures, appearing in divine figures across the globe, from Lilith's deviance to Apollo's healing light, Pallas' fiery eruptions to Durga's fierce protection. These deities share a universal narrative. They represent humanity's attempt to understand and reconcile the forces of destruction and renewal, chaos and order. And by exploring these connections, we see Sekhmet is more than a singular deity. She is a symbol of the human journey to balance power, fear, and hope. These comparisons reveal an important truth. Sekhmet is part of a broader archetype of goddesses and gods who embody the duality of life, from Lilith's deviance to Apollo's healing light, from Pallas' fiery eruptions to Brigide's transformative flames. Sekhmet's story is mirrored in countless myths. These parallels remind us that the human imagination has always sought to understand power, balance, and transformation through divine figures. Whether we face Sekhmet's lioness roar or Brigide's nurturing flame, these deities guide us through life's fiercest battles and gentlest healing. You see, Sekhmet isn't just an Egyptian goddess, as if that would not be enough. She is part of the universal language of myth that speaks to the human experience. She stands shoulder to shoulder with Lilith, Apollo, Kali, and many others as a timeless symbol of strength, balance, and transformation. You see, Sekhmet, a name that dwells through the annals of history, mythology, and human imagination. She is the lioness who guards the gates of life and death, a goddess of contradictions whose fierce duality mirrors the complexity of the human experience itself. But, as we have discovered, Sekhmet isn't just an Egyptian phenomenon. She is part of a larger, universal story, a tale of divine power, balance, and transformation that transcends cultures, continents, and time. What connects Sekhmet to Athéna, Kali, Lilith, and Apollo isn't just their shared traits. It's the profound questions they answer for humanity, How do we confront chaos? How do we find balance in destruction? And how do we channel power responsibly? Through Sekhmet, we see the reflection of Athena's strategic justice, showing us that even in war there is wisdom. Kali's wild dance of destruction, reminding us that endings can lead to new beginnings. Lilith's deviance, symbolizing the importance of independence and self-sovereignty. Apollo's duality, balancing healing and plague, order and devastation. These connections aimed at something far greater than individual myths, a shared cultural tapestry. Across the world, civilizations wove the divine into their stories to reflect the universal truths about life, death, and eternal dance between chaos and order. Sekhmet is both a product of her time and an archetype that continues to resonate because her story is our story. Sekhmet's dual nature, a destroyer and a healer, is a powerful reminder of the balance that underpins existence. Life and death, order and chaos, fury and mercy, these aren't opposites to be divided, but forces that coexist in harmony. Her role as the enforcer of Maahes, the principle of cosmic balance, teaches us that power must serve justice, not ego. Through her myths, we're reminded that even the most destructive forces can be tempered by wisdom, just as her rage was calmed by red beer. And isn't that what we all seek? A way to temper our inner chaos with understanding, to transform our struggles into growth. Why does Sekhmet endure? Well, because she represents something primal and eternal, the fierce protector, the fiery healer, the embodiment of transformation. In every culture, we find her echoes, because her themes are universal. She's the mother who protects with ferocity, like Durga and Freyja. She's the goddess who destroys to rebuild, like Kali and Nemesis. She's the warrior who defends order, like Athéna and Inanna or Ishtar. She's the solar force who brings light and fire, like Amaterasu and Apollo. Through these connections, Sekhmet becomes a more than a lioness-headed goddess from ancient Egypt. She becomes a symbol of the divine feminine's many faces, raw, wild, nurturing, and wise. In the end, Sekhmet's story isn't just about her, it's about us. Myths challenge us to confront our own dualities, to acknowledge the chaos within us, to wield our power wisely, and to strive for balance in a world that often feels anything but balanced. Through Sekhmet and her divine counterparts, we glimpse the shared heartbeat of humanity, a yearning for order, justice, and transformation. And perhaps that's why these stories endure. They are not just tales of gods and goddesses. They are maps for navigating the chaos of life, guides for finding balance in our own journeys. So, as we close this journey into the fiery realm of Sekhmet, let us raise a glass of red beer, or perhaps a light red candle, and honor the lioness who rolls through the ages. In her, we see both destruction and healing, rage and compassion. She reminds us that the fiercest battles, the greatest transformations, often come from within. Sekhmet is a goddess, a symbol, a mirror to our own humanity, and through her, we learn that even in the face of chaos, there is power and balance, strength and compassion, and beauty in the duality of life itself.